Okay, thank you. Again, will the Public Safety Committee please come to order? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Present.
Present.
Thank you. Since we do not have a quorum at this time, some of our colleagues are having an issue with water on their way down to City Hall. And I understand how I had a problem on I-90 coming down, believe me. I can't believe the amount of water. So we're going to deal with the overtime issue first. And then if our colleagues arrive, we'll deal with the two pieces of legislation that we have on the books. And again, I want to thank my colleagues who are here because it's a difficult morning trying to drive on many of our streets. Thank you, Director Drummond, for being here. One of the questions we had posed is that we wanted to get a briefing and update on police overtime. We know that within the budget, in the mayor's estimate, what was there, and basically the amount of overtime doubled from what was in the mayor's estimate. So I'm trying to get a handle, and I appreciate the information we have received. We asked for the top 50 folks in overtime within the Division of Police for 2025. And with my colleagues, you should have it either on your laptop or a printed. If you don't, I can get a printed copy here for you. Does everybody have it? Okay, good, thank you. And so, and I'm not going to indicate the officer's name, but when I look at the top 50, I'm looking at an officer that overtime was $176,000 on top of their base pay. Another one, $170,000 on top of base pay. Another one, $157,000 on top of base pay. $156,000 on top of base pay. So these folks are all making well over $200,000 in compensation. And I'm trying to understand, and I appreciate, because we had asked for the units that they are assigned to. So, and I'm assuming you have the same printout?
The chair is correct. We all have it.
So we're going to ask some questions on some of these units just for clarification. But I want to say this as well. We were told that by going to the body was told, by going to the 12-hour shifts, that overtime would be reduced. And it's just the opposite. Overtime has not been reduced. Now, I want to say this to the viewing public. Overtime is the reality within the Division of Police. Within police, fire, EMS, you're always going to have overtime. We know that because if officers are on a scene of a crime or of a horrific incident, they're not going to leave. That's their job. They're going to be there until relieved. Same with a fireman, firefighters. They're not going to leave a working fire. That's just the reality of life, and so there'll be overtime. EMS is not going to walk away from someone who's injured. Nature of their job is to save life. So we know within the Department of Public Safety, there's always going to be overtime. That's just the nature of the business, and there's no way to get around it. So that being said, when I look at the dollar amount of overtime, it concerns me greatly because every dollar we spend here, especially general fund dollars, it takes away from some other section within the city of Cleveland, some other delivery of goods and services, programs, et cetera. So, Director, would you care to comment? And I would just, as you have the list, and again, I'm not going to ask you to mention any names. We're not going to talk about any individual names. But if you can start at the top of the list, which you have, and work down, so you can, especially the viewing public and my colleagues who might not know what some of these units are, would have a better idea as to where these officers are assigned. So let's start at the very top and work down. So we have the airport, and we know that we have officers assigned to the airport by FAA requirements. So explain what DSU is. That's the next line.
That's the downtown services unit.
Okay, downtown service unit. Then lot 2 would be what?
It's the lot, impound lot. It's,
Impound.
vehicles are kept
Okay,
there.
impound lot 2. Okay. Impound.
Airport is the airport, as you're
Right.
aware.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Impound.
D1 is District 1, and that's a squad of officers.
So that would be, when you say D1, what is that?
District 1, I'm sorry.
District
Yeah, when
1.
you see, it's just district and then the number
Okay.
correspond with the
Okay.
districts.
Okay, and then D1 would be CSU. That would be District 1, the Community Service Unit.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay, then traffic.
That's downtown traffic unit, correct.
Okay, then keep going down. D2 Squad A.
Same thing, it's the District 2 and the
Now,
one of the
Squad A
squads.
would be what, Director?
The first shift.
First shift?
yes.
Okay, let me write that down so we all know what we're doing here. Okay, first shift. Okay, keep going.
Again, it's lot 2.
No, you have stance.
I'm sorry, I missed.
Explain what stance is to the viewing public.
Chief, can you tell what acronym, and I don't remember from the top of my head.
To the chair, stance is a street and nuisance crime enforcement. That was a detail we put in place to combat the car break-ins and vehicle takeovers.
Okay, then DSU Downtown Service Unit again, D4, again, 4th District, Squad D. What time would be, what shift would Squad D be?
To the chair, D squad is nights, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. or 8 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Okay, so nights. Okay. Okay. Squad B would be what time?
To the chair, that's day shift. It would be 6 a.m. to
Okay.
6 p.m. or 8 to 8.
Days, thank you. And then C,
C is also that night shift.
night shift, okay. Okay. We got airport again, we got DSU, airport, mobile support, explain mobile support.
To the chair, mobile support does the video redactions for our body cameras.
Okay. Okay. Video. Okay. AIU,
To the chair, AIU is our accident investigation unit. They
Oh.
do call-ups for all
Okay.
pursuits and
accident, okay.
yeah, serious accidents.
Okay. Okay. Airport, DSU, sex crimes, D4 detective unit, narcotics, homicide. Okay, let's go down. Is there any other questions? Okay. Mayor's executive protection, D1, Squad D, airport, homicide, airport. Let's go down here. Okay. Let me see. Okay, these are the top 50 that we have. So obviously, we didn't go down farther than the top 50, which again, as you can see, even if you go down to the last one on our sheet here, which is an officer assigned to the traffic unit, that officer his overtime was $81,000 on top of his base pay. So director and the chief, educate us. Because again, I want to go back to what we were told at the table with regard to the 12-hour shifts. That we were told that there would be a substantial reduction in overtime. And yet, we hit an all-time overtime record in 2025. No time in the history of the city of Cleveland, to our records, unless you can show us otherwise, was there ever more overtime occurred than in 2025 in the history of the Division of Police. And now here we are again confronted with the situation of overtime going in 2026. So who's trying to get a handle? Who's looking at overtime?
Through the chair, that's the responsibility of obviously us here in the Department of Public Safety, as well as the command
Okay.
level officers and supervisors in the Division of Police. And the overtime that you're seeing, obviously, it's something that we look at, something that my staff look at, my team look at, the chief and her staff looks at, to make sure that all overtime is necessary. And it's judiciously given to the officers who are working those particular hours.
Okay.
So we really keep a close tab on it. The demands of the Division of Police have gone up over the years, various details, special events that take place. as you mentioned before, as you were explaining to the audience that's listening or watching or both, is that, officers, when something comes up, they just can't leave. If there's a critical incident, they can't leave, firefighters and so forth. But here we're talking about division of police in particular. And there are many things that occur throughout the months, the days, that require and necessitates officers to potentially come in when they're off, and there's a special events. We've had a rash of break-ins that require officers to work special details, and a few of those, if not most of those, may be on overtime. We have the car meetups. That's a detail as well. The chief created the stance unit to deal with some of these issues, and it requires details. When things happen, there are times that we have to call people in to deal with those particular situations. So that requires overtime. And again, we're very judicious in the giving of overtime to the members of a division of police.
Okay, but look at this is what I'm trying to understand. If you were to work 40 hours a week, and under the new 12-hour shifts, what would be the average hours that an officer would work a week with the 12-hour shifts? So an officer would work how many hours a week?
To the chair, it's normally 48 hours per week.
48 hours a week now.
40 to 48.
Yep. 40 to 48.
Okay.
So it's switched.
Okay.
In a 14-day period, you work 7 days.
Okay. So to the viewing public who's going to work 40 hours a week, 52 weeks out of the year, that would come out to roughly about, let me get mine.
2080.
So you have officers that have put in more hours, have doubled the actual hours in a year. How do you do that? How do you do that?
Through the chair,
Who's sleeping? Who's sleeping?
through the chair, there are rules set in place for the division of police. For example, you mentioned 12-hour shifts. If an officer is going to stay beyond 12 hours, we have the GPOs that state they can only stay 4 additional hours. And if I'm wrong, Chief, please correct me.
To the chair, there's a couple points of clarity I just want to add.
Okay, go ahead.
For one, our overtime hours were the highest in 2023. It's the dollar amounts that are higher to date because of the pay raises.
Okay.
The 12-hour shift officers work 2184 hours a year, not 2080. So they work in excess of the 2080.
Give us that number again.
2184.
2184. Is that what an officer would work?
That's what the 12-hour shift officers work. And when you look at their schedules, when we look at this list in particular, they work 7 days in a 14-day period, and they're off 7 days in a 14-day period. So if they were to go to their district to fill a vacancy, or they have the opportunity to go to another district to fill a vacancy, that's an automatic 12 hours. And it adds up quickly when you're talking about 12-hour shifts. A lot of the individuals on this list are not assigned to patrol. Many of these are airport, which are not a part of the general fund budget.
I understand.
So that overtime is mandated by the FAA requirements, and those are slots that we have to fill. We have to fill a certain amount of posts, to be in compliance with the agreement with the FAA. When you talk about our investigative units, many of those investigative units call up related to a crime, in particular our homicide unit, some of the other detective units. When you talk about our downtown services unit, the work that they do includes all of the protests and special events that occur throughout the city. As you know, there's a lot of times that protests just pop up without notice, and it doesn't give the Division of Police the proper time to prepare the staffing. So we have to have a minimum amount of staffing to prepare for these events and to cover the events themselves. The demands and today's day and age does require a lot more police activity and a lot more police presence, beyond just the special events and the district operations.
Okay. So, again, and I will call, yeah, I will put everyone down. So I'm still trying to get to the point where if someone put in 2,825 additional hours on top of their base hours,
It's 94 hours a week.
how do you function? How do you function? Do you ever sleep? Do you ever go home?
So to the chair, we do have a policy that monitors the amount of overtime that officers are using, including monitoring by us internally, where we try to limit overtime to 16 hours, or to the overtime and a shift to 16 hours in a 24-hour period. We understand that the officers, we try to explain to them their health and safety and the safety of our residents is a priority, and we need to make sure that they are able to function. So we do monitor the amount of hours our officers are working. But there are some that will work every one of their days off, and those overtime opportunities are sometimes with special events. They're sometimes with airport vacancies, sometimes with a district vacancy. There's many officers that are on this list that will go and work in another district to fill a vacancy.
Okay. I'm going to open it up for questions of my colleagues. I have Councilman Joe Jones down. Okay. Anyone else? Questions? Okay. I'm going to limit everybody to 10 minutes right out of the gate, and then we can put you back on if you need additional time. And again, I appreciate everyone coming down. I know that some people have been, as I said earlier before we started, some people have been dealing with water issues. So I thank everyone who's here. Councilman Joe Jones.
Mr. Chairman, as we open this up, we have this list that's in front of us. And just wanted to make sure of all of the people who are working at the airport, is that 16 officers that's on this list? Or did I miss somebody?
There's more officers at the airport, but this is the top 50.
Yeah.
Top 50.
So these are the top 50 that did overtime, is that correct?
Through the chair,
to
the
the
councilman is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, 16.
Well, here's what I want to fundamentally understand, because sometimes we can just point out certain things that just stick out to us, and we don't have all of the facts pertaining to how we got where we are. So then I guess this question would be, Mr. Chairman, to whoever can answer. When we look at this number, let's take the top one, if we could take the top one. There's, at the airport, 2,825 hours overtime. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
In addition to how much more time over the base pay is the officer supposed to work? What's the total hours there?
Through the chair to the council member, that would be 2080.
That'd be what?
2,080 hours.
2,080 hours. That would be your base pay hours.
Through the chair, that's correct.
And then, so of 2,080, and what's that total? How many? I mean, was that how many hours?
It's
is that
almost
a week?
5,000 hours.
How many hours is that a week?
So we do look at that, the total amount of hours they're working per week. I would just have to use a calculator for that, to be honest with you. But yeah, I understand the question. To the chair, one point of clarity I wanted to make sure that we also talk about is the fact that the Division of Police has never had a transfer ordinance, so we've never had to take overtime or money from another division within public safety. Our budget, we've always maintained our budget even with the overtime hours. That was not.
Councilman?
Okay. So do we know how many hours, this is the men and women that happen to make this list. Do we know, in fact, where did this list come from?
Councilman, we had requested this list. We had requested this list of the administration.
I see.
Yeah.
So who determined who would be on the list?
It was just, we asked for the top 50.
Okay, so the top 50.
And the number that you have is on top of base pay.
Okay. So then, if this officer is at 2,080 plus the 2,825, that comes to 4,905 hours. I'm not sure. Is that correct? I want to make sure my
To the
math
chair,
is
that
correct.
sounds correct. Through the chair.
And then how many days is that, Mr. Chairman, to the director?
Whoever can answer that.
Through the chair, that's for a full year.
That's for a full year?
Yes.
Okay. So how many days is it that this 4,905 come to?
Through the chair, I believe the individual officer referenced here works almost every day off.
So he's working
Through the chair.
16-hour days?
Through the chair, I mean, if you did it as, just say he never took a day off throughout the year, it would be an average 13 hours a day.
It looks like 16. You counting Saturday and Sunday?
Through the chair, they work Saturday and Sunday as well.
I see. So this particular officer here at the airport worked 613 days. If you put it all together in increments of 8 hours each, 8 and 8 being 16. So in one day, he's actually working 2 days worth of work. And I got a total over here. That's why I asked you if you could do the math.
Yeah,
Make sure I'm correct.
So through the chair to the council member, it could be. I mean, he could work a maximum of 16 hours per day per our policy.
So then let me ask this question because we're only just dealing with the one piece at the airport. So do we have a shortage at the airport?
Through the chair, yes and no. We are not at capacity for staffing at the airport. But I can tell you that my priority is patrol first. So we do have to, if somebody calls off, if somebody is in training or on vacation, those vacancies have to be filled. We are not at full capacity at the airport.
Okay. So the question is, how many police officers do we have at the airport?
Through the chair, I believe we have 34, but I'd have to double check that. I believe it's 34.
34 officers at the airport on any given day?
Through the chair, that's total assigned, so that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay. And so of those 34 officers that are assigned at the airport, how many do you have to have at the airport to be at your full capacity? How many are you short?
Through the chair to the council member, we are trying to determine that right now. We have different numbers. We have 2020 numbers, and then we have current agreements. I believe our records indicate that we're down about 5 currently. But the airport, I believe, has a different number that they believe that to be. So we're trying to work through that right now, but we do have a specific number of posts that the Division of Police covers.
Okay. So we're down 5 police officers, but we don't know.
Through the
We
chair,
may be 5 down, but we're not sure.
so from my estimates, I believe it would be, 5 officers, but I think the airport feels different, but we do have a number of posts that have to be filled.
Okay. So we don't know, we're not sure, but you'll get back with us and let us know what that number is. And there's a reason why I'm asking this question. So would you be able to get back with us and let us know what that number is?
Absolutely.
And so now we're looking at a police officer who's at the airport, at least the numbers I got here, are telling me that he has been there for 613 days out of an annual year. And so, but we don't know how many police officers are supposed to be there. So what is the average time that a police officer at the airport would normally spend at the airport?
Through the chair of the council member, a shift is 8 hours, but again, you know, as you can see just from this list, you identified that there's 16 of these top 50 are all airport positions. But as we had talked about, that doesn't come from the general fund budget. That is, you know, that's something that's required by the FAA and also paid through by the FAA.
Well, I'm trying to get an understanding because if that police officer has a base pay, who's paying the base pay?
I believe that goes through the airport as well.
I believe so. I believe their salary is
So
paid
we're
through
not
the
sure.
airport.
And the overtime
So we're not
through
sure.
the airport.
Through the
Just
chair
so we're
to
not
councilman.
sure.
Through the chair, councilman. We'll get that.
We'll
I believe that's
make
also
that
paid.
request,
So
Councilman.
see, Mr. Chairman, we're not sure though, right? So that's the reason why I'm asking the questions. We should kind of know that. If they're being paid out of the general fund for the base pay and then overtime is being paid out of a subsidiary account.
Through the chair to Councilman Jones, both the base pay and overtime is funded through the, Mike? 1 second, please.
We
Yes,
might as well
you can.
have the
Good.
guru come to the table and talk to us.
I apologize.
Because
I
Mike is
apologize,
the
yeah.
guru.
My fiscal manager, Michael Gelman, makes sure that we give you the correct information. The overtime, your salary is all paid through the reimbursement. It's not through the general fund. It's through, the federal government pays that.
For airport.
For the airport,
Yes.
the officers that are assigned to the airport, that is correct. That includes benefits as well.
Yeah.
And then, Mr. Chairman, one of my concerns is that it is a concern that if we have a police officer that is working 613 days, how does he or she get rest? And this has been like, you know, and the reason why I'm asking this is because this is germane to another question. The 4th District as being one of the most violent districts in all times in the history of Cleveland. Of all times in the history of Cleveland, it has been a very violent district, and I know our police officers work a lot there to keep our community safe, and my hat is off to those officers. And oftentimes when I talk to them, Mr. Chairman, they're exhausted. So, and they burn out. And they express their burnout to me, and they express their exhaustion to me. So seeing these numbers here, how do we qualify 613 days for one police officer? I mean, don't we have some kind of policies, Mr. Chairman, that's in place that will give our police officers a break?
Okay.
So through the chair,
Wait
this
a
is
minute,
not
if I may.
mandated.
Joe, Councilman Jones, your time is up, and let the chief respond, then I can put you back on.
Okay,
Thank you.
so
back
through the
on.
chair, this is not mandated overtime. This is voluntary overtime. So they volunteer to fill those shifts. Because when there is a vacancy that exists outside of an operation, it opens up division-wide. So that's why you see a lot of the officers that are on this list, these are not mandated schedules.
Okay.
We as a command staff and as supervisors do monitor the amount of time, and that's why we put the restriction and guidelines of the 16-hour max, because we know they may not feel that it's too many hours, but we have to put a cap somewhere.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make sure I understand regarding the officers who work at the airport. Through the chair, I understand that they're paid out of the airport enterprise fund, but are there overtime hours included in this total amount of overtime?
Through the chair to the council member, yes.
Okay.
So just for clarity, when our total amount of overtime includes that and all other reimbursable overtime hours as well. So it's not separated out where you see that this is what the general fund, it's just one lump sum of the total.
Okay, okay. So on the budget, and there's a line item for police overtime, that line item includes overtime for officers who work at the airport, even though that is not coming from the general fund.
Through the chair to the council member, no. So the budget request is for the overtime itself, but our total expenditures include everything else. When the chair identified the record number of hours, those overages are a lot of the reimbursable overtime amounts.
Okay, all right, thank you for clarifying that. And another point of clarification, I know that officers work, at Cavs games and special events like that. Is that completely separate, or is that included in overtime?
Through the chair to the council member, that's all included.
So, if an officer chooses to work off-duty at a Cavs,
That's not
No,
included.
that's
Yeah,
not.
That's
Not
different.
off-duty. The on-duty personnel are
Okay.
included.
outside, yeah.
So through the chair to the council member, when you see the officers directing traffic outside or the details on the outside, those are usually your on-duty. Everything on the inside is your off-duty.
okay, thank you. And who approves through the chair, who approves overtime for
So
officers?
through the chair, the authority on the overtime approval is the commander. So it gets reviewed through the chain into their commander. So that's where the final approval level is.
So through the chair, is there currently any limit to, how much overtime an officer can pick up?
So through the chair to the council member, the 16 hours is what we are, we try to cap everyone at, is the 16 hours, and that is a clear message throughout the division. We have audit measures in place to make sure that we can look at that and they can be flagged to the deputy chiefs or to myself.
Okay, so 16 hours out of a 24-hour day, but not, but if they choose to work 7 days a week, 365 days a year, that's okay?
Through the chair, unfortunately, that's where we have, we don't have a mechanism because of the fact that they're sticking to the 16 hours.
Okay, and through the chair, are there benefits other than an attempt to reduce overtime to having a 12-hour shift?
So through the chair to the council member, a lot of the overtime, even the top earners here, are not related to patrol operations. There is overtime in patrol, but a lot of the overtime here is related to things outside of patrol. Our priority is always staffing our frontline first, which sometimes means that when you have your homicide unit, your investigative units, we don't prioritize beefing those up as well to knock down the overtime, because it's always the front line that we want to make sure is covered first.
Okay, so again, to clarify, was the motive, through the chair, to switching to 12-hour shifts solely to reduce overtime, or were there other reasons behind it?
So through the chair to the council member, it did reduce overtime. It gave the officers an opportunity to have a better work schedule. Prior to 12-hour shifts, we had one 8-hour shift and two 10-hour shifts, and we didn't have the proper staffing to maintain those shifts. And when we changed over to 12 hours, before the 12-hour change, we were mandating a lot of people to work overtime. And this has reduced the number of mandates. There is voluntary overtime that happens, but it has reduced the mandates which was causing a lot of issues with our retention.
So through the chair, would you say that switching to 12-hour shifts has benefited officers' morale and, in their work in other ways besides overtime?
Through the chair to the council member, I think that overall the feedback that we've had has been positive. since the start and change over to 12-hour shifts. I think if you'd ask most of the members now if they wanted to go back, they would tell you no. They like, for those who like time off, they have a lot more time off. For those who like to work, they have more opportunities to work, whether that be on duty or secondary employment.
So through the chair, a typical police officer who's not picking up overtime would work 4 days a week.
Through the chair, it would be 7 days in a 2-week period. So 3 days 1 week and 4 days the second week.
Okay.
And through the chair, if I can also add, the chief is right from the conversations I've had with officers. The ones I've talked to, they love the 12-hour shifts, and they would not go back because they're, again, to the chief's point, those who want to work overtime, they can. They have the opportunity. It's voluntary. And those who want to spend a lot more time off with their families, they have that opportunity as well. So from my research and from the individuals I've talked to, they're really happy with the 12-hour shifts.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Council Hay. Councilman Slife.
Thank you. As I'm crunching numbers, just to make sure that I'm clear, when we say that it's not affecting the general fund for airport officers, are they being paid directly by the federal government, or is the federal government paying, like there's, if I buy Councilman Polensik a ticket to the Guardians game and he pays me back, it's simultaneously true that I paid for the ticket and he paid for the ticket, So I'm trying to understand, as I crunch the numbers, are those officers reimbursing the general fund and then the general fund's paying them? So really it's kind of general fund neutral versus officers being paid directly by another entity or another budget.
Through the chair to Councilman Slife, obviously the officers are being paid initially and then being reimbursed through the obviously the enterprise fund and the federal government.
Okay. I think I share the concerns of burnout, and thank you for your service. 13 hours a week, 365 days a year, that's wild. But clearly the work needs to be done, so someone's got to work overtime, I suppose. What I'm trying to understand and why I'm looking at the numbers, and I know this is sort of back of napkin math, but in 2025, we budgeted, $14 million for overtime, and then the rest of salary and benefits was, let's say, $202.5 million. That's according to my phone's math. When you look at the actuals and then compare the differences, we were $16.1 million under budget on salary and benefits and $13 million over budget in overtime. So the argument that essentially goes is, yes, one could say that it's sort of kind of misleading during the budget season because we're budgeting for the vacancies, but when we don't fill the vacancies, that just gets put into overtime, but it ends up a scenario where overtime is never exceeding the value of those vacancies, right? So I'm trying to understand where there's a break-even point on hiring versus overtime. There's certainly going to be a scenario where it makes sense to put someone on overtime to go direct traffic versus, let me use a different city service. We could quadruple the number of people involved in grass cutting for the period of the year that we need grass cutting, but then the question is, do we have work for them for the rest of the year? And there's a budgetary reality where it just makes sense to pay someone overtime for a short period of time rather than putting a position into the budget that we don't have workflow for. So I'm trying to understand kind of how that analysis goes and where do we need to be comparing overtime hours versus budgeted staff.
So to the chair, I can probably provide a little more clarity, and I'll just give an example. Back in 2020, our budgeted overtime was $14 million, and we expended $14,675,000. We were only $675,000 over. But as most everyone knows, there was a deep drop in our staffing. Once COVID hit and once, there were a lot of anti-police messaging, we saw a lot of people separate. So as the years went by from 2020 with a $14 million budget, in 2021, we had a $13 million overtime budget, and we exceeded that by $5 million. And that's when you saw the decline in officers, and we are now increasing. But the other thing, that I had mentioned in 2023 was our all-time overtime hours. But in 2024 and 2025, the value of those hours has increased. So that's why, I hate to say sticker shock, but that's why the number looks as high, but we've actually are starting to come down on our overtime hours. And with the, increased hiring, we hope to continue to trend down on those as well.
Okay. To the chairman, I'm reluctant to make a data ask because I'm sort of mid-brainstorm, but I think what I'm interested in trying to get at is a easier way to compare salaries and benefits budgeted versus overtime budgeted and the fluidity between those two, because to the point earlier, it's not even a transfer from above the line to below the line. Like, it's within kind of the same numerator of the budget, so it's just moving dollars across the table as I understand it. The other thing that I think would be useful, because comparing this data in front of us to the question about the 12-hour shifts is a bit of an apples to oranges comparison, because there's a lot of people on here that I think would still be on the 8-hour shift. So maybe a more specific data request is if there's a way to get a sense of quantifying the savings in overtime for people that are in a 12-hour shift that would have previously been in an 8-hour shift. I don't know if that's as simple as sort of filtering a spreadsheet or if it becomes more complicated than that. But I do think that we're interested in kind of understanding the quantitative value of having gone from the 8-hour shift to the 12-hour shift, in addition to the qualitative things that you said, like officers enjoy or appreciate the flexibility of it as you're explaining to us. I'll massage that with Ibukun and we can follow up. The last thing that I wanted to ask about is just getting clarity on the CPPA and FOB contracts. I know that one of the things that was said in the media is the contracts are designed in a way that seniority determines overtime. So theoretically, if someone has higher seniority, they're at a higher pay rate, and then and I guess my scenario on that is that is collective bargaining. That's not something that I have the ability to even micromanage because I'm not a party to that agreement, but I think it'd be useful for us to understand how the collective bargaining agreements speak to overtime, because that is arguably something that the workers have fought for and agreed to.
So to the chair, if you go about 7 names down on the list, you'll see how that impacts that. So you see that there's someone who worked actually the highest amount of overtime and the lowest, lower in dollar value. So that's when
Okay.
you talk about, do you see where I'm?
I see, yes.
Okay.
Oh, so I was thanking the person for 94 hours a week. Now I got to do some algebra. That's even more.
Yeah.
Okay, but thank you for that clarity. That is useful. And it's in the future, if it's possible, to get like a total in stuff like this, just at the bottom. I started to frantically try to add up all the 50 numbers, but then I got distracted. But I might pull this and sort of do some math on my own. But
Through the
that,
chair,
I
yeah, the
understand your
numbers,
answer.
if you look at the overtime hours and the dollar values throughout the entire list, they're different, and that's because people are at different pay rates.
Okay, so again, that is. Can you speak a little more to the union contracts?
Yeah, through the chair to the council member, when you talk about the level of patrol officer, you have patrol officer 4 to patrol officer 1, and they get annual raises, and that takes them at different steps, and they cap out at that patrol officer 1, which would be the max salary. So when you look at someone who is just out of the academy, they're going to be at a lower rate than someone who's a patrol officer 1.
Okay, and then finally, it's just is it accurate that voluntary overtime there is a relationship between voluntary overtime and seniority?
Through the chair, it could be, but I don't see that happening as often. It's usually there are vacancies to fill, And if someone is looking for overtime, they can find either another district, the airport, or an event that's happening to fill.
And through the chair, I can also add too that obviously the overtime, I know you're aware of it, but I think it's important to put on the record that overtime is not limited to patrol officers. You have sergeants, lieutenants, and captains. Just
Yep.
make sure we have that on the record.
Right. Well, and the reason, I'll close with this, Chairman. What I'm trying to ascertain is we all want to get our overtime under control, and we don't want to be blowing the budget. There's an argument that we aren't blowing the budget. We're moving money between different aspects of the budget, but also there are collective bargaining agreements that are an externality in this that we do not have control over how the system that we design or the budget that we implement maybe works out in the real world because we're not parties to those agreements. And I'm just trying to, I'm speaking academically, I'm just trying to wrap my head around all of this, so I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Councilman. Before I call upon Councilman Casey, I do have, before I call upon Councilman Casey, I want to just indicate, we have and I can provide this to you, and the chief touched on it briefly. In 2020, budget was $14 million. The actual amount spent was $14,675,031. $31. That was under Mayor Jackson. 2021 was budgeted $13 million. The actual amount was $18,310,546. That was under Mayor Jackson. 2022, we budgeted, in the mayor's estimate, $13 million. Actual spent, $22,068,556,000. That was under Mayor Bibb. 2023, we budgeted, based on the mayor's estimate, $13 million. Actually spent $26,394,444,000 under Mayor Bibb. 2024 budget, mayor's estimate, $12,500,000. Actual $26,919,283,000 under Mayor Bibb. 2025 budgeted $14 million, mayor's estimate. Actually spent, which was the all-time record, $27,724,283,000 under Mayor Bibb. So, and since 2020 through 2025, we have spent $136,092,098 on overtime. That's a substantial hunk of money, So I'm going to stop there, and then I will provide a copy. Madam Clerk, if you would run a copy of this for all members to have that. Councilman Casey, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the chief and the director, you realize that there's only 8,760 hours in a calendar year. Mm-hmm. So for somebody to work 4,905 total hours in a year, that's the equivalent of working from probably January 1 to July 31st, 24 hours a day. That's a lot. It's an awful lot. So my question is, of the top 50 people here who are earning all this overtime, these hours may or may not allow them time to have vacation. Mm-hmm. So the question is on the back end, are these individuals or people who are earning this kind of overtime accumulating overtime and vacation time that they're not using, so that eventually at some time we're going to have to pay them out? Is that going to be a hit in the future?
Chief, Director.
To the chair, or through the chair to the council member, we have what they call work your furlough days, and that's what it is they're still taking the furlough days, but it's contractually they can also work their furlough days where it's not on the back end of the city. But our timekeeping code would be, they're still taking those furlough days, but they're also working overtime on those days.
So basically, Mr. Chairman, to the chief, it's almost during furlough a double dip, right? You're getting paid for your furlough and you're working overtime. And is overtime time and a half?
Through the chair.
Through the chair, yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So in certain circumstances, we've got somebody being paid to be on furlough, we'll say for a week, but on top of that, because they're working overtime during furlough, they're also making time and a half for that week. We'll just say that, right? I mean, I'm not off in saying that, correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay. So, and one thing, Mr. Chairman, to the chief, what is Lot 2?
Through the chair to the council member, that is where we process vehicles.
Okay.
That's
and
the tow lot.
There's
Yeah,
that
that's where
much
the-
overtime to be had at an impound lot?
Through the chair, that is where our vehicles related to crimes are processed, towed to, which has to be staffed by police because of the chain of custody, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that is a unit that the staffing is lower.
All right.
But
And Mr. Chairman, to the
coverage is
chief,
needed.
how many people are assigned to Lot 2 then?
through the chair to
Do
the
you
council
know?
member, I'll get an actual, but I believe
Okay.
maybe 4 or 5.
Okay. All right. And then, Mr. Chairman, to the chief, one thing we kept hearing was the overtime accumulated because you had the car details, right? And that deals with a quality of life issue for neighborhoods. So nobody on this side of the table, or anybody should, complain about overtime dealing with quality of life issues, right? And we accumulated 2,177 hours of overtime dealing with the situation that we had to with the thefts. However, 1,279 hours for St. Patrick's Day, 2,079 hours for the Feast of the Assumption, 1,617 hours for the air show, 1,600 for the air show, 959 hours for the Puerto Rican festival. And then on top of that, which is all on the city's dime. And then on top of that, for the Browns game, 10,480 overtime hours. The Guardians, 6,128 hours of overtime. The Cavs, 3,923 hours of overtime. And other special events with our stadiums, 7,657 hours of overtime. So between the Browns, the Guardians, and the Cavs, that overtime, that is not reimbursed to the city, correct? That's actual overtime. Those aren't individuals working within the stadiums because those are paid by the Browns, the Guardians, or the Cavs. But this is all an addition outside the stadium, correct? So we have an overabundance of overtime hours related to just events. People come in, they leave, they go home. But then we're hearing that one of the reasons that the overtime is up is because of the car break-ins, which is a very, very, very small percentage of the 514,765 hours of overtime. It's a very small percentage for a quality of life. So my request to the chair to the chief is there a way to break out the overtime hours into details in the neighborhoods, like dealing with the car break-ins, quality of life issues, stuff that are impacted more by not special events and actual what the residents would consider as police work being done in the neighborhoods?
Through the chair to the council member, we can take a look. I believe you're working off the same sheet that I have. When you look at events that are in the neighborhoods, just like protest events themselves are almost 9,000 hours.
Right.
But we do have our details that are broken down. When we have our violent crime enforcement details, the neighborhood safety initiatives, we do have a breakdown we can get for you.
Okay. And then, Mr. Chairman, to the chief, can we get any statistical results from that overtime? How many number of arrests, how many UTTs were issued, whatever it is?
Through the chair to the council member, yes, especially when it comes to the violent crime enforcement details.
Right.
We have all the the stats that go with it.
Okay. And then another topic that I want to touch on, Mr. Chairman, to the chief is during budget hearings, I had mentioned the police overtime for a mayor's detail in his travel. So we had since learned that there's $256,000 that we spent in overtime on the police's travel. He was gone for 43 days on 13 trips. Mr. Chairman, to the chief, during the budget hearings, you indicated that there was a risk assessment that was done prior to him going on trips to see what exactly his detail would be, because the one thing we were focusing on then was obviously the Martha's Vineyard trip, right? Mr. Chairman, to the chief, can the council get a copy of the results of those risk assessments? Like, who does the risk assessment? What determines the need for the extra security? What determines the need for two? And then how are those officers paid for overtime if it's, a 3-day trip, right? Are they paid for 30, are they paid for 36 hours and then the rest of it is all overtime? Is it a 24-hour detail? Is somebody being paid 24 hours? If you could just touch on that.
So through the chair to the council member, no one is being paid 24 hours. The reason when we talk, there's a couple things when we talk about the detail overtime. One is the amount of events while the mayor is there, and then the security throughout itself. So when we talk about the amount of hours an officer can work, we also take into account the detail officers having one member travel, and if there's security needed for 18 hours that day, maybe because of multiple events through the day to the night, we take into account that officer also needs downtime. So sometimes there will be 2 members. As far as the risk assessments, we also look at that, what is going on nationally. There have been a serious risk or threats to politicians. Those things are all factors that we put into place when we look at that, but it's very challenging, especially if it's a distant trip or a long trip, for one member to handle that on their own.
All right, so Mr. Chairman, to the chief, there actually isn't a pre-trip assessment that is done to determine what's needed for security purposes.
So through the chair to the council member, this past year I assigned a supervisor to oversee the detail, and part of his duty is to look at each trip and to evaluate the risk and what the needs are.
Okay.
And then he makes that determination of what the needs and the staffing will be for each trip.
Okay, and then since you mentioned it, right, Mr. Chairman, to the chief, we had learned yesterday, at least I learned yesterday, about the threats to local politicians, right? Especially the letters that are going out in one hit account, an elected official locally. Have we heard of anything, or are you guys keeping an eye on these letters that are allegedly being mailed out that could possibly be a threat to elected officials?
Through the chair to the council member, that is something that we are prioritizing through our intelligence unit,
Okay.
and also here at City Hall with the security staff.
And then, Mr. Chairman, to the chief, please, and not just our leadership, but if you could keep each council person apprised if you hear of anything in regards to that, because I'd want to know directly from the horse's mouth, and not a third party, or time sometimes could be of the essence in this situation. So if you could keep each council member apprised, we'd appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Stephanie House-Jones.
Yes, good morning. Good morning to everyone. I just had a couple of questions. So I just want to make sure I heard correctly. The chief indicated, if I heard you correctly, that you all were only spending what you had, but I'm trying to get clarification. So as we reported for 2025 in the budget, the $14 million that was allocated versus the 27 million that was in overtime. So where did the 13 million or so come from?
Through the chair to the council member, that is, I think Councilman Slife mentioned a little bit, still our staffing budget. So when we look at our end of year expenditures compared to what our budgeted annual amount was, we did not exceed our annual budget as a total.
Okay, so you're saying because you do not have, so let me, so that's, okay, I just went a lot of different places. Okay, from your uniform personnel, that's, I'm gonna say give or take 11, a little under $11 million there. So you're saying because, so that's 11 million in uniform personnel. So that's still about, and I'm just generalizing, that's still like an additional $2 million. I get what you're saying a bit, but okay. For, you all sent over a list that people have been referring to that kind of broke down the various hours, and I just wanted to get clarification. It says police work, staffing, events, and reimbursable. How does that correlate to the 27 million? So this is the other thing. I'm like, how does that correlate?
Through the chair to the council member, you're talking about this total expenditure? Is that what you're?
It just has, it said it was a response to questions that breaks down, this is this sheet right here, that goes through these various hours of some sort. And I'm trying to understand how does that correlate to the $27 million in overtime.
So through the chair to the council member, I think you're referring to this one I have here as well. So these are hours worked. And this breaks down the categories for what that overtime was related to. So when you talk about the one item says police work, when
Yes.
that is, that is just regular frontline police overtime.
Yeah, so
So-
can I get a
Sure.
I'm gonna clarify. So do all of the hours that you listed for police work, staffing, reimbursable, and events, would those hours equal up to the $27,724,238? Do those equate?
Through the chair to the council member, I believe so, yes.
Okay. So with that being said, there's this one box that says 168,499 hours non-crime. What is that? And how is that broken down? Because that's a significant amount of hours, but it says non-crime, and you have, I don't know what that is at all.
Who can respond to that?
So the non-crime call-up number I have here is 217.
So if you look under staffing, right above the total, it says 168,499.
So what that does is identifies those totals right there through the entertainment detail. It's
Which-
not, so the totals that are above it, which would be entertainment detail, record file, warrant removal, or do you have all those under staffing?
Okay. I'm talking about this right there. So what's this total then?
Through the chair to the council member, if you look at right below there, does it say on yours 236,223?
Yes.
Okay, so above that 168,499, when you talk about non-crime related, that means it's not related to the police work overtime. So that number comes from the staffing codes, the overtime codes for the entertainment detail, which was 11,733 hours, record file, warrant removal, the public square detail, settlement agreement training, parking lot vehicle break-in detail, outside district overtime, the public, the headquarters relocation, the academy classes.
Okay.
Do you have all that broken down?
But you, okay,
That's where
so,
a total, that's where that 168 is, where those numbers are coming from.
okay. Okay, help me, I'm trying to, yeah, like, just like, maybe I'm just not understanding. Because I'm trying to understand, no, go through, because even just doing a quick math, that doesn't equate 168,499.
Yeah, through the chair to the council member, I can get clarity for it, but
Ye-
all of our overtime is under codes.
Okay, understand.
So I will make sure that that's broken
Yeah,
down
'cause that- I'm
properly
just doing-
to give you a better clarity.
Yeah, that doesn't,
That's fine.
those numbers are not equating. And so I'm trying to understand specifically, if you got 168,499, where those exact are. Because from my perspective, I'm going to go back to my question that I asked before through the chair to the team here. What's the status of the current workload analysis? Well, where is that at?
Through the chair to the council member, you talking about our staffing plan?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're currently in the process of looking at what that looks like.
Yeah, so I'm trying to, what's the status of it and when will we have it?
So that's something that we have been working on. What we've seen over the years is we've seen a reduction in our budgeted staffing numbers. So right now we have to take an analysis of our supervisory level as well. Because when you look at the number of frontline officers, the numbers have been cut over the years, but the budgeted numbers for supervisors is still the same. So we have to work with the collective bargaining agreements to reallocate all of those numbers to see what the actual numbers needed are. We have separate analysis being done currently, one from the police side and one from an analysis side. So those are two different studies that we have going on at the same time, just to see what the comparatives are and then best practices.
Okay, so through the chair to the chief. So maybe this is a request. Can you send me the actual, whether it's the contract language or the request for proposal, whatever language you use in order to do this analysis, so that I'm clear on what are we actually asking from the beginning and what are we looking at? And then the other question is understanding when is it going to be given, when is it going to be complete?
That's through the chair to the council member. We had a staffing analysis that's already been completed. We are taking another look at it. That's already been completed, submitted through as part of the consent decree. We can send that to you, the analysis that was already done. We did not put out an RFP for this to be done again because the process was already completed. But we continuously have to take another look at our staffing numbers, because each time when you look at the budget and you look at our numbers, we have to see where the needs are.
Okay, so through the chair to the chief, when was the staffing analysis done from the staffing that you are reviewing now? When was that completed?
So
Chief.
through the chair to the council member, I can get that for you with the exact date. We'll get you a copy of that.
Okay, and yes, and then I'll ask all my questions. I mean, to follow up, because one of the things that for me is challenging to look at all of this stuff without having all of the other information in a comprehensive manner. And when you're trying to look at even the hours, we have a list of hours, but then we don't talk about the value of those hours. So I think also, as we are providing this level of hours, can we equate some type of way it needs to be correlate to the value of those hours and be in a format that we can actually look, whether it's Excel or something like that, because random PDFs make it exceedingly hard for people to do research. I have one follow-up question.
Yes.
It was just from the perspective of the director through the chief to the chair to the chief. You indicated that based on your interpretation, people are satisfied with the 12-hour shifts. Do we have a survey that correlates to what you're saying? Have we done an employee survey?
Who can respond
No,
to
it
that?
was Chief Stroh.
Yeah.
To the chair, I do not have knowledge of if a survey was conducted. This was me talking to various officers that actually I see, and they called me, and we talk about that. The chief may have more information relative to surveys that's being conducted within the Division of Police.
And through the chair to the council member, it's also through the conversations with the union, the leads of the unions, of both unions. So they represent their members. They represent the Cleveland Police Patrolmen's Association represents our frontline officers, and the FOP, our supervisors. So these were negotiated through the unions and voted on by the unions, by the members, and the conversations continued when we first implemented these. We had it started in January and October. We sat down and talked about it again, and to see if there was modifications needed for the 12-hour shifts and if we were going to make them permanent. And then they became a permanent part of the contract the following year
Thank you.
at the vote of the members.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Jones, you're back up.
Mr. Chairman, this is certainly a complicated subject matter to try to grasp within the space of time and not really be prepared, because the more I look at it, the more I have more questions. And when you broke down what we budgeted for and what we actually got is one thing, but what we have been asking for here at the table for quite some time, going all the way back to the Jackson's administration, when we had the overtime budgeted for $14 million, and it stayed close to that in 2020, to the budgeted amount of 14.6. As probably part of that is due to, Mr. Chairman, the COVID. When we look at 2021, we see that we budgeted for less at 13 and received at 18 million. And each subsequent year, we see that the overtime has actually increased in the city of Cleveland. And though we have the list that's in front of us, it doesn't give us a general breakdown of the total overtime spent and a breakdown of all the officers. So the question would be, Mr. Chairman, when we talk about, and my colleague Charlie Slife touched on this a little bit, about the union contract. When we talk about that line item that I had brought up, how much is that cost? Is that when you say time and a half and overtime? Explain that. Can you break that down, that union understanding of everything?
Chief?
And Mr. Chairman, I would just say that this table is not fundamentally competent. At least I know some of the members I've asked questions they don't understand or grasp all of the deals are in the contract that were negotiated with the union contract. We've never had a briefing, Mr. Chairman, not one time. In fact, Mr. Chairman, we have never had briefings which, as it relates to union contracts in all of my recorded history of sitting here on the council. So I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, we really fundamentally understand the union contract and how it encumbers us financially. So I think that having that understanding sitting here, if we're going to, Mr. Chairman, be good stewards of the budget, we should be able to understand what those points are, what those negotiated points are,
Yes.
and how they impact us on a financial level. So then, sitting here going back and forth about who did what and where they got it from and how many hours doesn't make sense to me. So what will make sense to me, Mr. Chairman, is having an understanding of what appears to be a lack of policy to rein in and keep control over the overtime budget. If we're going to say that we budget for 14 million and we go over that amount, more than that, we double that amount, or we go over that amount to the 2 times that plus some, where we budgeted in 2025 for 14 and we're at 27 million, 28 million round off mark. To me, that doesn't make any sense to me. So what would that, Mr. Chairman, what are our policies really governing overtime? And then the next question, Mr. Chairman, and don't think now for one moment I'm in disagreement with the overtime or have an issue with the police officers with the overtime. You know, I was one of those workers who loved overtime. So I went to get as much overtime as I possibly could when I worked for corporate America, and then when I ran my own business, I don't think I ever slept. I'm profit driven. So I understand that as human beings, we want to get as much as we possibly can. But we need to understand here at this table, Mr. Chairman, what does that mean? What is the total breakdown? How much overtime is in these districts that we you know, I'm just not talking about with the list you got in front of me here. I want to know how much overtime is being put into these districts, especially in the 4th District in particular. Mr. Chairman, we have crime that's overriding our neighborhoods. I've sat here and hadn't had a voice in a year because of some nonsense. And so at the end of the day, what I will say is that our neighborhoods, we need to know at this table what that overtime looks like and the breakdown in terms of the districts. And I will say this too, I have much respect for our men in uniform and what they do for us in the city of Cleveland, but I would love to, Mr. Chairman, understand what that policy is. What is our policy dealing with overtime and how to keep overtime reined in?
So through the chair to the council member, one thing that I'd just like to point out, the collective bargaining agreements that exist within the Division of Police are no different than any collective bargaining agreement throughout the city. When an officer is hired into the division, they are hired at a certain pay rate. As they advance in seniority, those pay rates increase, and this is similar to police, fire, EMS, water. It's any different level of service and civil service throughout the division. Our cap is at 5 years. When the officer reaches their max pay grade, then they have the opportunity to take promotional exams, which then again increases their salary. So when you look at this list, this encompasses different salaries as well. So when you look at the dollar amounts there, but with each raise in rank, it's a promotion, which is a pay increase. The collective bargaining agreement, like I said, is not any different than any collective bargaining agreement in the city of Cleveland or elsewhere. As you work, the more years of service you have, the higher your pay rate normally is. But for the Division of Police, it does cap at 5 years where you hit your max salary, unless you take a promotional exam. And the district overtime breakdown is something that we can get for you.
Right. So, well, my thing is that, hearing that, what do you have a book, a policy on overtime?
Through the chair to the council member, I think I had made mention, that we have audits in place, but we also try to cap our members to no more than 16 hours in a 24-hour shift.
So we do have a book.
We have a policy.
Right. I'd like to,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, to understand the manual. Do we use technology like data analytics to identify the crime, which I know we do, and trends in the neighborhood and how we allocate resources and optimizing our patrol schedules? So when we start talking about manuals, those kinds of things will say that, right? Do you have those kind of books that tell you that?
Through the chair to the council member, we have manuals for each of our units. And when you talk about the analytics, we use Telestaff for our staffing, which is an analytic as well.
Okay.
So that is all digital. The payroll is digital, so that we can track it and break it down the way that we do.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have a complete breakdown of how the overtime is done. And would like to have a policy manual so I can have an opportunity to throw myself into it and understand how it fundamentally works. Because, Mr. Chairman, we can sit here at the table and try to break it down, but we really won't get a comprehensive understanding of it. So for me, I'd like to know a little bit about the policy and how it works, and how our overtime processes work. Or we're going to sit here, Mr. Chairman, we're going to continue to get these numbers, these projections. So if we did 27 million overtime last year, what do we look to do this year? Are we going to
Chief?
go over to 29 or 30
So
million?
through the chair to the council member, the budgeted amount is the amount we're giving. That's not the amount we request. We understood that our need was going to be higher than that, but we try to be fiscally responsible to our residents. And, you know, we know factually sometimes when you get the 14 million, we know sometimes it's not going to be enough.
Right, so I guess the question is, based upon your analytics, if you have that, it should give you an ideal if you're going to be overtime. Is that correct, based upon what you've done and the trend, it continues to go up?
Through the chair to the council member, we have our timekeeping unit as well as our deputy chief of administrative operations who
So what are your
oversees the budget.
projections?
I believe in 2026, the budget amount was 22 million.
Mr. Chairman, to the director, let me rephrase the question. What is your projection for this year in terms of overtime based upon your analytics? Because you've already told me you have an automated analytics system. You do have a policy. So the question is, do we know what that is? And Mr. Chairman, and I'm not want to sound difficult here, what I want to do is try to really fundamentally grasp it and understand the concept here, what we're really fundamentally talking about. If we're going to understand it here on the council, and I certainly don't understand how you got things rolling, for me, it's real clear and simple, Mr. Chairman. If we're supposed to have so many officers, because see, that's what we need to be explained. It needs to be explained clearly for us so that we understand it in black and white. If we're supposed to have so many police officers in order to keep our citizens secure and safe, we just passed off a budget $420-some million. And our citizens are not feeling safe with a $400-some million package, $500 million pretty much. So at the end of the day, how many police officers, and this is what I would like, and you don't have to answer it, just something just to put on the back of your mind so you can come back with an answer. How many police officers do we need to pull our overtime down? What is the requirement based upon your analytic system? Because if you have an analytical system, it should be able to plug those numbers in there and tell us. Okay. So how many police officers do we actually need to have in the city of Cleveland to drive our overtime costs down?
Through the chair to the council member, I just wanted, our analytics system doesn't tell us, project what our annual overtime is going to be.
Mr. Chairman,
I think that's where there's a misunderstanding.
Mr. Chairman, if we already know, because we already know what we're doing, Mr. Casey broke down all of that stuff. So you already know, Mr. Chairman, what you're going to do year in, year out. So you have an ideal. So based upon the overtime, we got one person spending his life working. So we should be able to, if we don't have that in place, we need to have the system in place that can break that down. So either you have a system that functions or not.
So through the chair to the council member,
Do you have an analytic system?
Our system functions.
But I didn't ask a question, Mr. Chairman.
But you're not letting me clarify either.
Councilman, go ahead, Chief.
We have a budgeted number of staffing, which is 1,350. We are about 100 down from that currently. When we look at how we deploy those officers, we put them in districts. If somebody takes off of work, calls off sick, is on vacation, we have to fill the backfill. If an event pops up, if there's a protest, if there's a council event, that the request comes in that you need police officers there, those are all done on overtime for the majority of the time because we are filling the needs of our residents, but there's always additional asks, additional events, a concert that comes up, some type of crime trend that happens, whether it be a street takeover, car break-ins, that we throw a lot more resources at. So to project it for a year isn't an unfair ask. We project our staffing, and this is, based on our operational needs right now, but something could happen next week that could throw a kink in everything, that we could have to cancel everyone's days off. Before I became chief, when St. Patrick's Day would happen every year, they canceled everyone's days off. So everyone in the division, their days off were canceled, they were all mandated to work. Which, when you look at that, there's could be half the division maybe off that year. Since I've been chief, have not canceled days off as a whole. It happened all the time.
So,
Whether
Mr.
there
Chairman,
was a
'cause
big
to the
event in the
chief, I
city.
have a certain amount of
So-
time.
Your
so I
time is
don't-
up, by the way.
And then I need more time because you told me to let the chief have more time. Now you can
Okay.
put me back on
Okay.
because I'm not finished.
Okay. Let me say this to my colleagues. The requests that are being made at the table, I hope our research staff is hearing those requests because we want to get that. What I would ask as well, you did provide to us the list of the 50, which I appreciate, but I'd like to know for each of them what their rank is,
Okay.
because that will give us a better indication as to why we're looking at some of the numbers that we are. So, Councilman Jones, I'm going to give you 10 more minutes, and then
Thank you,
we got
Mr. Chairman.
legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I guess, what I'm trying to get at is we're 27 million. We went from 14 million overtime, average budgeting anywhere between 14 and 13 million. But we continue to go over. So that is an awful lot of different things that are happening that's going to cause us to be over. So it would be nice, Mr. Chairman, if we could get a add-on to the request that you got there. What districts are they actually fundamentally working in? And this is my issue, police. So
Well, on the 50, the districts are on there. If they
Right.
are assigned to a district, it is on this sheet, if you look at it. We just don't have their rank.
right.
We don't have their ranks.
So my request, Mr. Chairman, not to belabor it, is okay. So we don't have too many people from the 4th district. It looks like we only have 2 there. And the 4th district, Mr. Chairman, and I'm going to ask, are we going to get any more police, Mr. Chairman, to the safety director? Because 4th district,
Through the chair to the
Director.
councilman, those staffing and deployment of officers,
Because
that's
we've been
under the preview of Chief Todd and her command staff.
Chief, are we going to get more police in the 4th district? We've been promised from one chief to the next chief. You promised us too, safety
Through the-
director,
through the
that we was
chair.
going to get more
Wait a minute,
police.
let them respond,
And
Councilman.
I'm still talking, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Haven't yielded the floor. So, Mr. Chairman, what I'm saying is that we have been promised, and we need more police. You already know the numbers. You can come and make a presentation right now, and you know already that there's more crime happening in the 4th district than anywhere else in the entire city. And we're getting pummeled. And I'm losing business, and I'm losing residents, and I'm concerned about the safety in the neighborhoods. And so we only got 2 police officers on this list that's overtime. I would think that this list right here would be filled up with nothing but 4th district police officers. I would think that that would be the case. So I need more police officers over here in the 4th district, Mr. Chairman. And we were told at one point in time, Mr. Chairman, sitting here at the table, that we would place our assets where the needs are the greatest. And so your explanation, Mr. Chairman, to the chief, with terms of the overtime, you're saying we never know what's going to happen on any given day. And, when those situations happen, we have to have overtime to deal with those issues. So what does the overtime look like in the districts, Mr. Chairman?
Chief,
Through the
Director?
chair to the council member, our class just got off probation. We just put quite a few in the 4th district. But we can get you those numbers, and I think I mentioned before, we'll get you the numbers for the districts as well. I don't have the breakdown with me.
I appreciate that. And then, Mr. Chairman, I support our men and our women, and so I would presume one of the comments that was made was that we're within our own budget, so we're not going over our actual budget that we've been allocated. Is that overtime coming out of police officers that would have normally been working for us? Is that the budget is that where the money is coming from? Out of your
Chair to the
budget?
council member, yes.
Okay. So then, how much money do we have allocated for officers that we're supposed to hire in to work that we don't hire in? What's that looks like? How much money is that? So if you're budgeted for 1,400 some police officers,
1,350 is our budget.
1,300 because it keeps going down. Now, why does it keep going down, Mr. Chairman? Why are we continuing to go down each year with the number?
Wait a minute, Councilman, just a point of information. In the budget we passed, was they were to hire 180 officers this year. So
That's, through the chair, that's correct, 180 officers.
180 officers?
That's correct.
And so, but we're budgeted for 1,300?
And 50, that's correct.
1,350?
Through the chair to the councilman. That's
So we don't see ourselves going over
Through the chair,
the
the
hiring.
council member, I hope I have to come back to you later this year and ask you for more. That is
I'm
my
sorry,
goal.
what was
I
that?
hope I have to come back and ask for more in our staffing. That is my goal for this year, I can tell you that.
Okay.
And I am prioritizing district operations. So when we talk about the airport staffing, I understand we have shortages, but the districts are my priority. I hear every council member when they say traffic is an issue, when crime is an issue, and that is my priority, is to make sure we have more frontline officers and less on the support side, because we need to make sure our residents feel safe.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to belabor the issue. I'm just frustrated here because we still don't have those numbers, Mr. Chairman, that we were promised when Kutz was in there as the
Through the chair to the council member, I don't know what numbers you were promised before.
I'll sit
But
down
I can
with you
tell
and tell
you
you.
that our numbers are.
But right now, we're losing.
We have the same.
through the chair, please. Thank you.
Through the chair, we have the same percentage of staffing, and we do prioritize where the needs are. And the 4th district is one of them. The 3rd and the 4th district are our highest needs at this point, and we do prioritize our deployment based on that. And I know that the acting commander is doing a phenomenal job, and I would encourage you to sit and talk with him. And, and he can talk more about his deployment plan and address your safety concerns.
And then lastly, Mr. Chairman, Casey talked about a situation about threats. I'd like to know a little bit more about that on the side, because I have some situations and issues I want to tell you about.
Thank you, Councilman. Is that a
I
Councilman?
yield the floor,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman.
Thank you, Thank you, Councilman. Okay, so again, you understand, to the director and the chief, you understand our concerns. And to the viewing public, when you see the chief indicated that based on a 12-hour shift, that would equate to 2,184 working hours a year per officer. That was the number she presented. And when you see someone who's working 2,825 hours, another one 2,728 hours, another one 2,186 hours, another one 2,504 hours, 2,350, 2,315, 2,909 hours. You can understand how the viewing public views this, that common sense will tell you this person is working 7 days a week from morning till night. And I think all of us are of the opinion that's not possible. That's not possible unless you want to put yourself in a coronary unit at Cleveland Clinic. So there's got to be some better explanation and oversight. In the impound lot, 2,186 hours for someone working in the impound lot. I would ask through our research, our staff, I want to know how many cars come in lot 2 every day.
Through the chair, there's 4 people assigned to that
Okay,
unit. I received
okay.
clarity.
But there's 4 people, and one received 2,186 hours overtime. That is incredible. That's incredible. The video unit, mobile support video. I mean,
Through the chair, just for clarity on
Yeah.
that, every single public records request we receive for
Yes.
wearable camera has to be redacted, and that
Okay.
has to be done by a person.
okay. But you understand where we're coming from. The amount of hours. Now, going back to what Councilman, we're going to wrap it up. Mayor Mike White believed, but again, the population has dropped since his time. That's 26 years ago. He believed we needed roughly 2,000 officers on the force. And I bought into it. I agreed with him. And his position was we would staff all the specialized units. We would have the walk and talk, again, the patrols getting out of the car walking. We would totally staff the dare unit. We could supply, we'd have all the special events covered. It was everything, around the clock, et cetera, and we would substantially cut down on overtime. When Calvin Williams was here as chief, and he was pressed at the table on 3 separate occasions, and I know because I have it, he insisted that we needed, when it was asked, what was the number that we needed? He insisted 1,700. That's what we needed to, again, reduce overtime, cover all special events, et cetera, et cetera. So now we're at 1,350. We've slid substantially backwards over the years. And I'm glad to hear the chief say that she's going to do everything she can to fill the 180s, because the 180 we passed last year was not filled. We passed the budget calling for the hiring of 180 police officers in 2025, and that we did not achieve that goal. So I'm hoping as we go forward, based on the concerns of the council, that all efforts, and I've said this to the director, that we've got to do everything we can to increase recruitment, hiring, because every meeting that I go to, as I did last night, what did I hear? How come there's no traffic enforcement in my neighborhood, in our neighborhoods? That's what I heard last night at the meeting. Traffic enforcement, want more speed tables. I must have 24 streets, if not more, that we're requesting speed tables because they don't believe there's adequate traffic enforcement in our city. And if you look at the number of uniform traffic tickets, they are substantially down, which then equates into revenue. So as we go forward, I will tell you to both the director and chief, we're going to really stay on top of this issue because, again, council people are on the front lines. They're hearing the complaints. They're hearing the concerns from our citizens. And we want to see higher profile in all of our neighborhoods across the city. We understand the importance of the airport. No one's disputing that fact. But what I hear and my colleagues are hearing, it's all community-oriented quality of life issues. That's what we're hearing. And when you were a commander, you know what that's like. You heard it. So I'm going to leave it at that point. We have 2 pieces of legislation before us. I want to thank my colleagues for the questions, and I hope staff, if there's any additional questions you have, please let Ubaku know that so she can make those requests. But again, we want to know the rank of these individuals because we're going to stay on top of the overtime issue. This is raised very serious questions for all of us here around the table. So without further ado, we're going to go into legislation. Ordinance number 105-26 by council members Polensek and Griffin by department to request an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Safety to enter into one or more various written standard and requirement contracts and for professional services with Digital Intelligence Incorporated, Cellbrite Incorporated, and Magnet Forensics LLC for the purchase of various types of digital forensic equipment and services and for related professional services, including the acquisition of licenses if needed for digital forensics unit for the Division of Police, Department of Public Safety for a term of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Public Safety. Was read for the first time February 2nd, 2026, approved by Director of Public Safety, approved by Director of Finance. There's no legal objection. It was returned to us on February 6th. Director.
Through the chair, council members, thank you. As stated before, this is ordinance number 105-2026, and you've read the legislative summary, which I'll go through again. If approved, it authorizes me, the Director of Public Safety, to enter into one or more various contracts with Digital Intelligence Inc., Cellbrite Inc., and also Magnet Forensics for the purchase of various types of digital forensic equipment and services for the related professional services for the digital forensics unit for the Division of Police. This equipment is extremely important for our folks to be able to get information from equipment, cell phones and otherwise. the equipment that we are talking about purchasing was initially used through our federal partners. Now our members in Division of Police have the training. Now this is request is to purchase the equipment so that our folks in our units will be able to utilize the equipment. So the total cost for of the purchase of this equipment is estimated to be $310,000 and will be funded through a 2025 general obligation bonds, capital project, and an additional funding.
Okay.
And I have my team here, including Deputy Chief Shalat, for any specific questions relative to this legislation.
Okay. Deputy Chief, because on the administrative report, there's no allocation of funds. So just so you're aware of that. Okay. 310,000. Thank you. Go ahead. Commander? Or Deputy Chief, excuse me.
Good afternoon, sir. Deputy Chief Jared Shalat. Yes, sir, this is just essential equipment needed for the digital forensics unit for the Division of Police. These services were provided to us from outside federal agencies. Due to their staffing and budget cutbacks, they're no longer able to maintain the services they were providing to us, so it's essential for us if we want to continue proper technological investigations to acquire this equipment and start conducting them ourselves.
So Deputy Chief, you're telling us, the committee, and to the viewing public, the funds for this used to come, all of the funds or a portion of funds would come from the federal government?
The services provided would come from the federal government. When they began giving us, providing this service to us, our use of it was very limited. Their staffing was able to handle it, not a problem. As technology advances and more technology is used in the commission of crimes, the need for this type of forensic analysis has grown beyond the scope of what the federal agencies are able to provide to us.
So just give us a brief example where how this would be utilized in a case of a crime or criminal act.
Absolutely. A good example is ICAC, the Internet Crimes Against Children. When predators are preying on our children through certain softwares on the internet, getting their laptops, getting their computers, their towers, and running this digital forensics, able to identify them as sexual predators of the youth in our city.
And that was previously done by our federal partners. This will give us the ability to do that in-house with our trained detectives.
Okay. Questions of the committee? Anyone have any questions of the committee? Councilman Slife.
Staff asked me to remind you that they had some proposed amendments.
Yes, forgot. Hold on.
I
Glad
have
you
it right here
mentioned
for
that.
you.
Okay. So, because it's, okay, not with the piece, so we want to make sure it goes with the piece. Okay. So the amendments proposed are as follows. At the end of Section 5, insert, the Director of Public Safety shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made through the cooperative process, which notice shall include the details of such cooperative purchases. In Section 6, after ordinance, insert in the estimated amount of $310,000. In Section 6, after 20 SF 701, strike and 20 SF 728, and shall also be charged against the proper appropriations account. Would someone care to make that amendment?
But before I do, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Well, just a clarification to you all. In Section 5, there's a desire, I think, from us going forward that when we use under Section 108 of the Charter, the opportunity through cooperative agreements with other governmental agencies, if you were to enter into a contract with a organization through purchases and supplies, we'd get a notification of it in the city record. If you were to do it with a cooperative agreement, we wouldn't. So I think the intent of this is just to make sure we get a comparable level of notification that the agreement came, just so that it's easier for us to track stuff. The other question I have is in Section 6, what is 20 SF 728?
Can somebody explain that?
Identify something.
Through the director, through the chair, to the councilman, SF 701 and 20 SF, 20 is the fund number, sub-fund number is 701. Same again for the next one, 728 is sub-fund. Those are the sub-funds used for the original funding source.
Pull your microphone closer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Closer, yeah. You can pull it right closer.
Okay, sorry.
That's
It's
all
the
right.
original funding source for these purchases. It's the general obligation bond funds. My concern is if we strike those, we would only be using the general fund for this purchase. If my understanding is right, you wanted to strike 20 sub-fund 701 through, I believe, the remainder of that section. Is that correct?
That's what has been recommended to us by staff.
So are we, Mr. Chairman, for clarification, just going to eliminate section 6?
Well, again, we are funding this with general fund dollars, correct? Based on what we were just told.
Through the director to the chair, no, that's not correct.
Okay.
It's partially funded through the general fund. The amount of the capital project that we're going to be using is approximately $255,000. The general fund's going to make up the difference between that and what is needed.
So wait a minute. It's, in the ordinance, it's $310,000.
Correct.
Okay, you got me confused. Then you just mentioned $255,000. What is that?
$255,000 is the amount of the capital project that we'll be using to fund this in addition to the general fund to make up
Yes.
the difference. We anticipate that the full amount is going to be approximately $310,000.
Okay.
So through the chair, through the chair, and this was explained to me by our fiscal manager who was speaking, Michael Gelman, relative to Section 6, that if we strike that, then all of the money would come from the general fund. That's my understanding, if that language is, if that's struck.
Okay, wait a minute.
Can I say
Go ahead,
that?
go
Can I say
ahead.
that
Go ahead,
differently?
Councilman.
Actually, because I want to make sure. If, as it's written, it would be 255 from the general obligation bonds and the remaining 55 from the general fund. Under, if we were to strike sub-fund 728, it would be all $310,000 from the general fund. Is that what you're saying?
Through the chair, to Councilman Slife, thank you for eloquently stating that. Appreciate it.
Okay, then make a revised.
Okay.
Okay.
So I move to amend the legislation as follows. At the end of Section 5, insert, and I'll give this to you, Mr. McGorry.
Yes.
The Director of Public Safety shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made through the cooperative process, which notice shall include the details of such cooperative purchases.
Right.
Additionally, in Section 6, after the word ordinance, insert in the estimated amount of $310,000.
Okay. And then the bottom section is gone. Okay. Is there a second to that? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Now, Mr. Chairman, are we open for questions?
On the amendment?
No. just-
Okay, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, walk that down. Okay, Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can the director explain to me exactly what kind of equipment we're talking about?
Through the chair, Jared Shalat, Deputy Chief, is more in a better position to tell you about the equipment itself that we'll purchase. I know some of it will be obviously software and also actual computers to assist our detectives in the forensics unit.
Go ahead.
Through the chair to the councilman. That's correct, sir. It's specialized proprietary software to allow us to get the data analytics from the technology that we're going to be forensically going after. Also, the equipment to maintain the level of efficiency of the software. Better computers, more high-speed computers, more efficient computers are needed, plus the storage, the amount of data that we're pulling from these is
105.
very large, so it also includes the storage of the data we're doing.
So you're going to be really more or less getting high-end performance computers that is equipped with the software to be able to give you the information you need. So would these be like workstations, forensic workstations?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how many forensic workstations are you going to have with this particular contract?
Right now, I believe it's 3.
Through the chair, I believe that's the number. It's correct.
So we're going to have 3 high-end workstations that really give you the forensics of breaking down these systems. I presume these are the systems that you have confiscated in doing your police work.
Through the chair, yes, sir.
Does this also, Mr. Chairman, include cell phones as well?
Through the chair, yes, sir.
Okay. Are you guys getting any kind of field kits?
Through the chair, I'm not quite sure. There are through the chair to Councilman Jones, there are equipment that's utilized in the field by our officers when they confiscate certain electronic equipment.
Okay. So then with the systems that we're getting right now, so I guess I would presume that, so it's not only just the system, but it's also the software. And what kind of software would you use? I'm just curious. What program are they using now?
Through the chair to Councilman, I we leave that to the techies. I'm not quite sure what the software is. I'm not quite sure if Deputy Chief Shalat knows, but it's high-end software which would enable our detectives in the unit to extract data that's really critical and pertinent for the prosecution of the crimes that
So
they're
in this
investigating.
package here, so would we be also getting network softwares too? Network forensic software, where you're analyzing in real time. You're on to a person and you're analyzing in real time, or would that been a service that you received from the government previously? But you just haven't gotten that yet.
Through the chair, I'm not quite understanding the question. Are you asking if it's like tracking software?
Yeah, it's network forensic software. It's a tool for capturing and analyzing network traffic, such as Wireshack. Are you familiar with that?
Through the chair, no. If I'm understanding correctly, and through the chair, if it's software where we can physically track a person live, like track your cell phone, stuff like that, this is not that software. This software is we physically have your cell phone, we physically have your computer, we plug it into the system, and it extrapolates all the data from it.
I see. So this is exactly what. So with this package that we got right in front of us, are we also going to have, or it may be, it may not. So are we utilizing this company's staff people to assist us and help us as well with this process?
Through the chair, you're asking if we're going to utilize the company's folks? No, this is going to be done in-house by our detectives.
I see. And then with that being said, we don't have a company in the city of Cleveland or the state of Ohio that can do this work?
Through the chair, we were using the federal government agencies, and they're no longer able to do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman. Councilman Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to either the DC or the director, this doesn't have anything to do with the new system that was put in the cars for report taking, does it?
Through the chair, negative.
Negative? I don't come from that world, but okay.
I'm sorry, that is correct.
All right,
It has
Mr.
nothing to do with that system.
All right, and this is.
Got you, huh?
You got to start watching TV shows.
Yeah, I
He
guess so.
Right.
Okay, 10-4.
Okay.
Right, I guess.
That's right.
But no, this is a totally different system than the new one that was implemented for report taking in the cars, correct?
Through the chair to Councilman Casey, a completely different system.
Okay, and then Mr. Chairman, to the DC or whoever, has that system become a more smoother process? Are officers starting to I don't want to say figure it out, but now that they're all well trained in it, is it becoming easier and more adaptable for the patrol officers?
Through the chair, you're talking about the P1 system,
Right.
through Motorola, correct?
Yeah.
Which was recently implemented, and we're going through the paces. When you have something that's new, there are bugs that has to be worked out, which we're currently working on right now. As far as the usage from our patrol officers, Deputy Chief Shalat would be more in better position to answer that question. But the system is working. Again, we're working through some bugs, and ultimately, I think once the system is up and running, working through the bugs, I think the officers will be very pleased with it.
Through the chair to the councilman, yes, we are getting better by the day. We have multiple meetings every day. We're working through the kinks of it, and we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Without any further questions, ordinance number 105-2026 is approved as amended. Please sign it up. Okay. Our next piece and last piece is ordinance number 1455-2025 as amended by council members Bishop, Polensek, and Griffin by department request, authorizing the purchase by one or more contracts of labor and materials necessary to retrofit a Division of Police command bus, including installation for the Division of Motor Vehicle Maintenance, Department of Public Works, and or the Department of Public Safety. First time it was read was November 17th, 2025. Was approved by the Director of Public Works, approved by Director of Public Safety, approved by Director of Finance, came to us on November 21st and went, November 21st, 25, and went to the Municipal Services and Properties Committee. Came to Public Safety on February 2nd, and that's why we scheduled it. Director and your team explain, I'm gonna read the amendments, excuse me. There's no legal objection to this legislation if amended as follows. In section 2, at the end, insert the Directors of Public Works and or the Director of Public Safety shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made through the cooperative process, which notice shall include the details of such cooperative purchase. Section 2, number 2, in section 3, line 1, after authorized, insert in the estimated amount of $320,000. Director and your team, explain this one to us.
Yes, to the chair and council members. Again, this is through the Division of Motor Vehicle Maintenance. This is, as you know, an emergency ordinance to upgrade the Cleveland Division of Police mobile command vehicle or command bus. The vehicle is almost 12, maybe almost 13 years old. Thank you, Lieutenant Cannon. He's at the table here. He's in charge of the bus. And so we are trying to get the vehicle updated. It is older with the equipment, such as on the bus itself, we have dispatch stations. So we want to make sure we have the proper equipment in there, computers and so forth, to bring the bus itself up to standards where it should be, so we don't have to go out for a purchase of a new vehicle. So this is extremely important that we get this ordinance passed so we can get the bus upgraded.
Okay, now explain this one to me. Is the new bus or the older bus?
Through the chair, this is it's 12 years old. It's almost 13 years old, so I guess you can say it's a newer bus versus the one we had in the past.
But I thought we bought one within the last several years. I thought there were, please educate me. And again, I can't believe the time went that fast.
Yeah, through the chair,
we have two of them, don't we?
No, through the chair,
did?
we only have one.
What is a command bus?
The command bus.
What is it?
So
Okay,
mobile,
well, they'll explain it to us, but, so wait a minute. So
I
at this
got
point,
questions.
I'm gonna get this straight in my brain here. So you're telling me the bus that we have right now, which I've seen at special events, et cetera, is 13 years old.
we'll be 13 years old. Through the chair, we'll be 13 years old. That's
And
correct.
we have no other command vehicle bus.
Through the chair,
left.
correct.
Okay. Would anyone else care to comment before I ask for questions of my colleagues? Nothing? Councilman Jones.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Can you tell me what it's used for?
Through the chair, it's used for special events and other incidents may come up. For example, if you have active situation taking place, the vehicle is called out, the command vehicle is called out, and is situated near the incident so we can have a command present. It could be out in the field, and it also could be to augment special events that's taking place. For example, next Tuesday, St. Patrick's Day, we'll have the EOC activated, but the command vehicle, bus, will also be activated, and officers will be utilizing the bus for command area as well. So it's the various functions, special events, various situations come up in incidents.
You have seen, it's been on at Luke Easter for some of the events out there.
Or one of those big, huge.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
used for, again, same things. It's the different functions for
So
the.
it must be in real good condition because you ain't asking for a new bus.
Through the chair to Councilman, it's in really good condition. I have to give credit to MVM, who maintains the bus. I have to give credit to Lieutenant Cannon, who's sitting to my far left, who's in charge of that unit and also the
We'll
bus and
give
other
him a
vehicles. So I have to
high
give them, and also the driver, Rich Jones, is a patrol officer. They take pride in the vehicle and they maintain it to make sure that it's up to standard.
So now we're talking about retrofitting it. What are we talking about when we talk about retrofit? Are we talking about tearing everything out of it and putting in new technology? What are we actually trying to do?
Through the chair, that's not exactly tearing it completely down like you're talking about. We're talking about adding new technology in there, upgraded computers and other functions that will help help us in the Division of Police have the best technology and upgrades in the vehicle. So again, we can be very efficient when we're out on scenes or at special events.
We're spending $310,000 to do upgrades inside, so that's a hefty upgrade. Can you explain to me what that means so I can understand it? Because it
Whoever
may
can
be
answer
something
that?
I don't want to sit here and try to figure it out.
Okay.
Through the chair to the
Thank you.
councilman. We have, minus just the IT, we have a couple slide outs also that need to be fixed in the back. We have jacks.
What's the slide out?
Slide outs are so, you know what an RV is? So it's basically an RV and then the sides extend once we have it set up to give more room to the back.
I see.
So both of those need, currently they need fixing on that. We have several other issues on the bus because it's 13 years old that need to be worked on. But the main part of it is the IT package.
Okay.
Our printers, our satellite dish, our Wi-Fi, our monitors, our computers, all that needs to be replaced.
I see. So that's causing the biggest amount is just computers inside this big giant bus.
Through the chair, correct.
That's a lot. Is there anywhere where there's like, it gives me an idea what the breakdown looks like? Because that would be, how you break it down. Because usually in these executive summaries, they break down what that cost is.
Through the chair to Councilman, we'll get you that information.
We'll request that.
And also,
Staff.
if it's upgrading, we hope that council will pass it. We also give us the ability to have backup communication if we are able to, because we have our dispatchers that can operate out of this vehicle as well. So it gives us the opportunity to have a backup to our communications in case something occurs there, at least temporarily. So again, it's a vehicle. It's almost like an RV, almost, with the slides and everything. It needs to be upgraded as stated and repaired. So it's important. Yeah, the bulk of the money is coming from the IT package inside to make sure we have the proper equipment, the computers and so forth, and higher end computers and so forth. And again, when we're dispatching, we make sure we have the proper equipment in place. And that's why we have the price at what estimated at $320,000 for the upgrades and the repairs.
Yeah, it would be good to see that because, when we talk, I thought she was going to get a whole brand new vehicle for this kind of money.
Yeah, through the chair to the councilman, in order for a brand new unit with the things retirement is over $1 million.
Yeah, so it must be really expensive. So with these upgrades in the system, how does it enhance your ability and capacity?
Through the chair to the council member. For one, currently, the CAD system and the Premier one does not work on the bus. So for our dispatcher to be effective, we need to have that all upgraded. Also, our current satellite dish doesn't work, so our phones and our Wi-Fi don't work. So we're currently using MiFis to run our computers, but that's not effective everywhere we go in the city. We have outdated cameras that we need replaced, and with the updates on the bus currently, we can run a computer through our FUSA system to monitor the city cameras, and without the Wi-Fi, without the satellite dish, it makes it almost not beneficial sometimes with whatever detail we're at to watch the surrounding areas with the cameras that are currently up.
Yeah, it's a big bus.
Yes, it is.
And so, Mr. Chairman, again, I wouldn't know where to start unless I have an idea of what the 310 breakdown is, and then that gives me a better idea, because I'm still trying to grab my head and wrap it around the cost of the computer systems, and what you're explaining to me right now, that it doesn't make sense, the numbers in my head at least, on some of this technology. And the only reason why I know about some of the technology, because I have a good friend of mine is in law enforcement who is a geek at these things.
We will get that information, Director.
Through the chair to the council
We'll
member,
get
just
that.
to let you know, I asked, so Farber is who made this current bus. They're one of the few in the country that make these mobile command vehicles. I had him do for what a new bus would cost, and a new bus last year would cost $1.5 million.
That's a lot of money.
Yes.
So these upgrades into that
So this bus,
pales in comparison to the cost.
this bus 13 years ago cost us $630,000.
I see.
That was 13 years ago. So with the upgrades,
It'd be like a brand new bus.
it would be like a brand new bus. Our current
Okay.
generator and our current engine and the body of the bus is in good shape. With these upgrades, that would extend the life of this bus, if I had to guess, another 8 to 10 years.
And then, Mr. Chairman, how fast, once you get these funds, will the bus be up, ready, and operational?
Through the chair to the council member, I have scheduled with Farber, if this goes through, to drop off the bus on April 15th, and it will take about a month to a month and a half for them to do the upfitting.
Okay. And this bus is usually used in emergency situations. How do we use this
Through the
bus?
chair, it's a combination of both. It's not always emergency situations, it's special events, and sometimes emergency situations. It's used at fairs, the safety fairs for the districts, their requests there, and other functions. Again, we're going to use it coming up this next Tuesday.
Do we use it for traffic?
Through the chair, it depends. There are different details that are out there. If it's requested for a traffic detail, it will be deployed.
Right, we need you, Mr. Lieutenant Cannon, to help us with traffic issues. We're just being absolutely, I can't believe, just coming in here this morning, a car almost ran me off the road. And so I don't know if do we have any traffic enforcement that's going on, Mr. Chairman?
To the director.
Through the chair, that's correct. We have the traffic unit centralized downtown, but they go out to all 5 districts. We also have 2 traffic cars in each of the neighborhood districts.
We need some help. We need Lieutenant Cannon to bring 6 trucks over there to help us out in our neighborhood. And so, Mr. Chairman, I would love to, and I'm going to yield in conclusion, I'd love to have the opportunity to take a tour in your truck. And if you can bring it over there to our neighborhood, I don't think it's been in Ward 1 that I can recall, unless we had some kind of special event. So I'd love to see you come over into our community. Mr. Chairman, I yield the floor.
Thank you. There'll be no jacuzzi in the new command bus, okay? Okay, Councilwoman Hudson.
I just have a quick question. The director, through the chair to the director, I think you mentioned that this bus will be used next Tuesday for St. Patrick's Day. So despite the deficiencies, you're able to use this command bus now?
Through the chair, yeah, not the way we would like to. Like I said, the cameras are not working sufficient. It cannot marry up with the current cameras that we have, but we still utilize the vehicles. We don't want something such as this equipment, such as just sitting around. So we still utilize it for a command post that the officers can come to and confer. And so we still utilize it. Still has its purpose, but we would like to upgrade it to use its full potential.
Okay, thank you. And then through the chair, while it is out, being retrofitted for a month and a half, what will you use in its place?
Through the chair, we do not have a second one as stated before, that we have partnerships with the county. County has one. If necessary, we can use that as well if it comes to a time that we need a command vehicle, a mobile command vehicle.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay, without any further questions of my, Counsel Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you to the chair, to the team here. What is the current life cycle for this
did.
vehicle?
You know that, Wayne, by chance? Identify yourself.
No, it just says amended.
Through the chair to the council, it's tough to decide the current life cycle with the maintenance that we perform at MVM and the way the bus is utilized. We take a lot of pride in making sure that that bus is always up and running, making sure that the systems are always up and running, making sure that there are no outstanding repairs. Typically, it's not out of the question to see a unit like this to last somewhere in the 18 to 20 year range. Our previous vehicle was probably somewhere around there before it was replaced. So with the maintenance that we do on this unit, and then especially with these upgrades, we anticipate that this will give us another 8 to 10 year life cycle out of this vehicle before having to pursue an additional or a replacement.
Okay, and with that understanding, today's price will not be the 2036 price or 2034 or 2036 price. And so through the chair to the team here, what does it look like for the investment in a capital plan so that we will be prepared strategically to purchase the price or the vehicle, which will likely be north of $2 million?
Through the chair to a council member, that's a really great question, and that's part of the assessment that will be done. As we know from Superintendent Garden, he's right that they do a really good job. But we also know as the years progress, the reports we receive from him and his staff and team will let us know that as we're getting closer to the potential replacement of the vehicles, that we'll start obviously conferring with finance and others so we can budget for the potential replacement of the mobile command vehicle.
Okay, thank you. And it's not about potential. No, we're going to have to replace it. So I
Through
think
the chair, that's correct.
that's part of the thing. No, we have to replace these vehicles. And so being just prepared, and I know for those of us that have to allocate resources, we need to really start thinking strategically of these things. And this is the last question, and you probably covered it. This money is coming from where? Where's this money coming from?
Is it capital
It
or is
should
it
be
general
capital.
fund dollars?
Because I looked in the thing, I don't know what the
Through the
numbers
chair,
associated
I'm looking
with.
at the sub-funds, it's through capital.
Capital?
Oh, so it is,
Okay.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to ask for you give us, we're going to make a request, what's the mileage on the vehicle? And is it diesel powered? If it's diesel powered and it's taken care of, that thing should last forever.
Through the chair, we'd probably get you the mileage right now.
Okay. Without any objection, ordinance number 1455-2025 as amended is approved, is read. Thank you. That committee is adjourned. Thank you.